have you been recently stressed out? For me, it was quite stressful to travel to the United States and return about in a week time. Traveling may sound exciting, but when it takes 30 hours to get to the destination, that traveling part isn't really exciting. Plus, I had work to do, reading papers and preparing the meetings and getting through 14 hours of jet lag. So it was a bit stressful to me. But I don't really call that as a big stress. It's just part of our busy life, right? What about school homework? Going to work every day, running your own business and struggling with some financial ups and downs for our family. That's our part of our life too. And those can be stressful. But more stressful is when we are ill, when we medically suffer from something. And we are going to look at a story, and it's about a woman who is in that situation. She's suffered greatly, medically, financially, as well as socially. Yet the story tells us how she gets the right help and how she brings her life back. And we find this woman, that woman, in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 9. We don't know her name. We don't know much about her background either. Everything we know about this woman is that she's had a blooding issue for 12 years. And we are not going into the details of what kind of bleeding issue she had or of some relevant social restrictions that she had to experience. Rather, let's work with some more basics. First, she's been afflicted by this blooding issue for a long time. And she tried to know how to deal with the problem, how to help herself, but she was still suffering from this seemingly never-ending issue after 12 years. And she was desperate for help. And Jesus passes by this woman in the crowd, and she touches the hem or the edge of his garment. All she has at that moment is the faith of telling herself that if I only may just touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made well. In other words, it's her saying and her faith to believe that if I only may be reconnected with the Lord, in some way, even in the smallest way, just a little bit of touch there, I shall be made well again. And that faith makes her well. So that's going to be our story, and that's going to be our message. And it is about putting away our belief in ourselves and being connected with the Lord. And obviously our topic today is faith. And I'd like to talk about faith aside from the story. And I think we sometimes forget how important it is to have faith. And I don't mean by faith some knowledge. But by faith, I mean something that works in our hearts. By faith, I mean our active attitude to thinking about the Lord and going to Him or going to His Word. And this is active engagement with the Lord. And that's the basic concept of faith. And yet our faith doesn't always come straight. It doesn't settle in our hearts all at once. We hope it does, but in reality, we can't be so sure. So now, let's bring back the woman's story. And her story unfolds an interesting aspect of our faith. It's because it tells us about our state of faith where we do not, in the first place, we do not place the Lord first. It describes time when we or people seek out some other things, We go somewhere else for help and for guidance. And one of the handy examples we can think about is when we invite people to church. Have you tried that? And what was people's reactions? People may say, I don't think church is my thing. I don't believe in God. Or I trust myself instead. Or some may say, I don't need help. I can handle it. I will handle it by myself. So we look out something else, not the Lord, nor His church. And it's kind of unfortunate because even when people suffer from something of a chronic issue in their life, they still stick to that faith. They're not going to the Lord. They muck around some other ideas and different practices. It seems that going to the Lord and getting help from Him are their last choice that they might make. When nothing seems to work for them, then they might eventually realize, oh, probably I should seek some help from church or from the Lord. The woman in our story speaks to that kind of experience. She approaches Jesus and touches His garment as humbly as possible and even in some great fear of it. But she did not have that faith that now she has. It comes after she tried different things for herself. And so here I want to add a small detail to the story. This part isn't written in our Matthew reading, but the Gospel of Mark, it recorded the same event, but it adds a little bit of more details to it. And there we read that she sought help, remedy, not from the Lord, but from somewhere else already. She's been trying that for 12 years somewhere else, but it didn't help. It didn't work for her. So I'm going to read it from chapter 5 from the Gospel of Mark, verse 26. It says, she had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better. She was no better, but rather grew worse. So let me get it straight. So she had this problem of bleeding 12 years ago. And she has gone out. She searched different help or ways to fix it. She visited different physicians. But she's been knocking on wrong doors. And she's ended up spending all her time, money, and all she had. All along, she might have thought she could somehow fix the problem for herself. Until she realized it even got worse for her. After everything she tried for 12 years. So she's been worn down. And there comes a valuable lesson for her, which is no one else can help her but the Lord. So that's why she says, if only I may touch the Lord's garment, I shall be made well. Eventually she gets it. Eventually she sees that. So what do we see from this woman? The humble heart that she shows is beautiful. It's admirable so much. But we wonder if she turned to the Lord earlier. Then she probably didn't have to suffer that much for that long time. But it is one of those things for us. We often do not go to the Lord directly, even when we are stuck with and in a chronic issue in our life. We still think we can handle this problem for ourselves. We are smart enough to fix it for ourselves. We don't need God for this. But the story reminds us that there are certain things in our life that nothing in the world can heal. When it comes to our soul and our spiritual life, no doctors, no surgeons, no psychiatrists, no counselors, they can't help, even the best ones. Sure, they can help us and even save our life, our bodily life, but they can't fix for us our spiritual problems that are like internal bleeding in our spirit. I've known some people who have gone to psychiatrists or psychologists because they were suffering much, and it seems that they got some good help and they were able to stop their psychological bleeding, so to speak. That's good for them. Still, I would wonder whether such help touched and stopped the bleeding that was further down, if that was where the real cause of their problem. And the point is that our spiritual life, or the salvation of our souls, that part of life, it sits in a different realm. Again, and no one else but the Lord can help it. Otherwise, why would we say that the Lord is only our Savior? We wouldn't say that if that was not the case. And a moment of that realization is captured in this story. Oh yes, it is the Lord, and it's got to be the Lord who can save us, truly. So the story boils down to this. It is about our faith. So have some faith in the Lord. And go directly to the Lord for help. We don't have to wait until our life goes really bad and we become devastated. Or is that really what we need? Is that what we must go through to see the point? I think we could see and know sooner than that. Think about the Lord. Think about God the Lord. What does it come to you? God. He's our God. He is our God. He is our God. He knows everything about us. He sees through our souls. He knows exactly where we are. And He must have an answer for our suffering. And there is power in trusting that the Lord is the power. There's a power in trusting that the Lord is able. A story that comes immediately after our reading, we just read that there are two blind men who are healed by Jesus. It is said that their eyes are open because they believe that the Lord is able to do so. We may have been bleeding in different forms. Maybe anxiety or fear, a broken heart, a deep-seated mistrust with people and with God, and all the affliction from those. If we reflect on those, we can realize that these are brought about because we have not gone to the Lord, and because we have not trusted the Lord's ability. And maybe this problem came to us because we are just too busy trying our ways and trusting us instead of the Lord. things about us. We love to control everything for us. We want to handle it. But in that attitude and life, our faith in the Lord is missing, and our relationship with the Lord is missing. And those are the missing part in the first place that made the deficit in our life system that caused the dysfunction and the non-stoppable bleeding. And it's interesting how there's a bleeding problem when we are missing something in our body system. Not gonna go there, but the point is, miraculously, our bleeding can stop when we allow ourselves to be reconnected with the Lord and just touch the hem of His garment. And what it says is, it's not a huge faith we need, just a little bit of faith in trusting that the Lord is our God, the Lord is able. He's gonna do something with us. That faith, and that's going to free us from our 12 years of bleeding internally in our spirit. One of the amazing things when we allow that faith is we can find comfort and peace. It is when we realize that we can relax. We can relax. The Lord is with us. We can relax a bit. We don't have to try everything under our control. Maybe that's the healing. Maybe that's how our bleeding stops. No more anxiety. Some deep-seated personal problem. Maybe that's how it stops. So the final line for this today is, we can leave some room for the Lord to do His work and let the Lord show us and teach us how He does. We don't have to figure it out all just for ourselves. Let the Lord show us, then we can just follow. How relaxing is that? That's what our faith can do, right? And just as the woman did, go to Him and show Him our sincere and humble faith in His power, then it shall make us well. Amen.